If you're trying to quit the P sites and lust, one of the worst things you can do is keep doing the exact same things and expect a different result. Habits like scrolling, overindulging in pleasure seeking in any regard, and just trying to resist temptation like it's just an external means. What we resist ultimately persists, and you can't just keep the thing out of sight, out of mind when there's an inward proclivity or desire that exists as well. So we're going to examine that today and how to actually deal with it. But there's an unmet need and there's a physiological dependence. It could be at a mental, emotional, or physical level, but there's a desire for release that exists within you rather than just trying to avoid something on the outside. And that reason looks different for everybody because we all have different input pressures, different stressors, different experiences in the past that have built up this pattern. So here's what nobody's telling you. It doesn't just live in your thoughts, right? It lives in the body. So there's a specific body scan practice that you can employ the next time you're feeling a temptation. There might be tension in your chest that's coming up before the pattern fires. There might be certain areas bracing, right? Associated with the gut or the pelvis when stress builds. But the pressure that accumulates into your nervous system finds the fastest exit that it knows is going to happen. And that stored charge gets encoded in the nervous system as ways of coping. Look into the works of Dr. Wilhelm Reich and his theory of characterology. Over years, this becomes an inward repeated proclivity. So it develops a desire based on possibly decades of use. So every approach that you've tried has been aimed at the mind while the pattern actually lives in the body. So this is why it fails every single time. This is why more willpower or discipline is not going to be able to suppress an already running underlying pattern. Not because that you're weak or you lack discipline, but it's because you've been fighting from the wrong location. So essentially, what does real recovery actually look like? Well, it's not just mental resistance, right? Like a lot of people think. It's not emotional management. It's not trying to suppress emotions just in a new way. It's not another accountability partner blocking app with nothing to actually stay accountable toward. It is the 4 simultaneous layers of work that reach every level where the pattern actually lives. So layer 1 is mental rewiring. Again, not willpower. It's a complete decision architecture that you have to build around your specific urge and trigger landscape of the internal pressures that you're noticing are coming up that you want to release very quickly in the P sites. The problem is that it builds this dependency, which ultimately is driven by the very things that are associated with instant gratification or bypassing the responsibility that you would have to take in order to get the real form of pleasure. So 2 equations that replace the relapse cycle before it fires. You have to know this based on your specific root issues, but a trigger map should be built for your situation, not a template, right? It's an anchor that actually redirects the nervous system in real time based on what you value. And we went through shifting the measurable metric of days counted to life improved. This is what it should be focused on. So you're not focusing on what you're avoiding, which is just reinforcing the old pattern in and of itself, but you're focusing on what you're building. So layer 2 is character mapping. You have to have your wounds identified, and there are particular methodologies to go about this, but the idea behind that, especially with the basic form, is that your body zone must be mapped. So you got to understand where the tensions are coming up associated with the pattern, because it's just as much of a physiological response as it is a mental one. So you're not going to be able to think your way out. But the pattern actually has to be traced to its origin in your specific structure. It could be mental, emotional, physical. But there's a methodology that has to be built based on these, not just a generic one-size-fits-all, trigger-based, brain-based program. So layer 3 is the body. There have to be somatic discharge protocols that give the stored charge in the nervous system a complete physiological exit in the most appropriate way. So on the side of responsibility, that's taking responsibility in order to cope correctly and express the underlying emotion based on where you uncover that it's stored, or uncovering exactly why that pattern has been emotionally running to begin with. It could be something extrinsic or intrinsic. Not suppression or just trying to keep it out of sight, out of mind. But we actually have to resolve it. We have to heal it. So when the pressure dissolves, the compulsion dissolves with it. So layer 4 is the soul. The desire itself is not the problem, guys. We understand from Thomistic philosophy that our inward architecture, or our faculties for intimacy in this context specifically, has a primary end. So we have to take responsibility, if you're a single guy, in order to pursue a relationship integrally, to then provide a situation where you can be edified mentally and emotionally until you hopefully wait for marriage and, engage in the true marital act to find the rightly ordered version of that desire. It's a teleological question. So telos, meaning that there is a particular functionality of that desire. It's not just arbitrary. It's not just nothing means anything. So there's a good desire that is in you, but it's aimed at the wrong object. And this is what is very singular to pornography addiction itself. So until the soul is shown how to want correctly, the desire will keep finding the same exit. So the layer rewires desire at the source so that the shadow running the pattern finally has a real counterweight. So guys, who this is actually for, this is not for uncommitted people. You have to do a lot of deep internal work and introspection in order to make something like this happen. But the men who go through this are not weak men. They're high-performing, faith-filled, driven men. I've had CEOs, doctors, highest performing athletes in my system, where I work with guys one-on-one and also a group model. And you would think that, the archetype of the addicted man is going to be some dude on his couch eating potato chips. But that's not the case in any realm or regard. It's usually the highest performing men that have this one crutch that's associated with their drive or desire to potentially amass things. And the way that they've solved every other problem in their life with more discipline, they try to apply to this and realize it just simply doesn't fix it. That's exactly why they end up coming to me in this context. But it's for these kinds of people who have tried everything and keep ending up in the same place because every tool that they were given was aimed at the surface. So I've helped thousands of men in 27 countries, 27 plus countries recover. Marriages restored, purposes unlocked, faith alive. So men who are finally present, clear, and finally themselves again. These are probably the core reflections that I hear from the majority of them on a weekly basis regarding what actually is produced as a result of making these changes internally. Because again, you got to actually change your life in order to quit the P sites. You can't just quit the P sites in order to change your life. And I'm just going to be able to think your way out. So if you're looking for more help with this, you can join my free school group down below, or you can directly book in a call with me and we'll have a chat. But comment down below if you like the video. Let me know what you gained from it. Subscribe, and share with someone who you know might need it. We'll be speaking soon.